Welcome to my channel, I am GDP, and today we are going to be covering monsters. Before we get started, I would appreciate if you guys hit the like and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. I've been getting asked this a lot to make a kind of an analysis of all the different monsters that you can upgrade for PvE and PvP. I'm not necessarily going to make necessarily a quote-unquote tier list, but I will discuss each pet individually and talk about what my opinions on what pets are best in specific situations for what teams that you are aiming to build. So to get things started off, I would like to just make a caveat right here that I do think for your first pet, no matter what, should be the Phoenix pet. The reason being is it's a solid kind of a hybrid pet for PvP and PvE. It gives you a solid base for PvE, which is pretty much the most essential for an early game account, just because that will help you guys push your seal lands. It will help you push, your broken spaces, your guild raids, possibly Flame Shrine if you're in that. For most PvE teams, minus the Delacium Army team, you're going to be running the Phoenix pet. And the reason being is because it gives 80% bonus damage against a burning target, while also providing a small heal, which will help your heroes live just a little bit. And it also gives one of the best stats in the game, holy damage, and also some crit damage for a little bit extra crit off of your heroes. Now, when it comes to PvP, it has been found out recently that heroes that do not provide burns, you're not going to be able to benefit from this pet in PvP because the actual burn from the pet itself does not count for the bonus damage on a burning target. So this is kind of misleading, and I do think that DH Games should eventually change this. I know apparently it's been in the game ever since the dawn of time, and that's been the way it is, especially with the 3 round, when it says 3 rounds, when in reality it only lasts 1 round. But when it comes to a hybrid pet for usefulness of early game PvP and also PvE, Phoenix, I believe, is the best choice here. So for you new players, if you're seeing this, build Phoenix as your first pet. You can't go wrong. It's going to serve you well for your first pet, and it'll be really, really, really good. However, it is not the best PvP pet for mid to late game, and I'll talk a little later about that on which heroes or which pets are best for PvP. For next PvE pet here, when you're talking about the Delacium Army, you have the best pet here, Dragon. The reason being for Dragon is since you are not benefiting from a burn buff on a Phoenix pet, because Delacium Army does not run Deathsworn, it does not run Sigmund. You're typically just want to run 2 to 3 Delaciums with a Drake, maybe a Rogan, and then your Athaqua. So you have absolutely no burn in your team. And so you're basically wasting an active off of your Phoenix pet. So what's your next best option? Well, 75% holy damage from your Dragon. This is a very solid damage boost for your Athaqua, which will be increasing your dots for your Delacium Army to replicate onto the other bosses, and this will drastically increase your hero's damage. Now, when it comes to the aura here, you have your crit percent and you have your crit damage. So when you're building your Athaqua, keep this in mind. You're going to be you want to get your Athaqua pretty close to 100%, which this pet can do on its crit percent, and also it will get you really close to crit cap. I actually think you do hit crit cap. Now, when it comes to PvP pets, things become a little bit differently. But I do actually want to mention a little extra something. If they ever do fix Athakwa's bleeds and poisons, I do believe the wolf won't be the best pet. The reason being is because wolf benefits off of, or your heroes benefit off of extra damage because of a bleeding target, and Athakwa requires a crit for bleeding, and also this gives armor break and precision. And armor break is kind of a wasted stat when you have Drake in your Delacium army. So the best pet for Delacium army, if quote unquote if Athakwa's dots get fixed, will be the snake. The reason being is you get skill damage instead of armor reduction. So you're basically not wasting a stat, and that this should technically be better. And also, Athakwa puts poisons on her target every single time she attacks because it's off of her basic, and off of her non-crits. So this should be technically better than Wolf if they ever fix Athakwa. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but if they do, the snake should technically be better than the dragon. But right now, the way the game sits right now, Athakwa's dots do not count for snake or wolf, so dragon will be the best pet. So on to PvP here. A very solid base choice that happens for most sustained teams are going to want to pick the deer pet. The deer pet gives your allies, restores allies 20% of HP, gives them 37% armor and 15% attack for 2 rounds. Just basically makes your heroes a little bit more tanky for 2 rounds and gives them a little bit of attack while also restoring some HP. This is very solid for sustained teams if you're running, say, a double Terra or some Olivia, Belrain kind of composition going on there. Deer is going to do really well for you in your sustained composition, and also he provides you armor and also block. So these are basically just all tank stats. You're not getting a whole lot you're not using deer for damage here. You're just using deer for sustain, and keep that in mind when you use this pet. This pet is not for quick burst. It's not for getting any sort of advantages. It's just to out sustain your the enemy team to make sure that you live longer and you win. So if you're using heroes that require a bunch of sustain, this pet will be best for you. Now, when it comes to best PvP pet overall in the current meta of 2020 in August, it is Sphinx. Now, the reason I say this is mainly because of the 37, or actually, because of the 37 speed for 3 rounds. This will make your carries faster if this goes onto other carries. This will make your Russell faster if it goes onto the enemy Russell. So that right there is pretty much the major benefit. And also, it will also reduce armor for enemy teams. Meanwhile, it increases 25% attack to 4 random allies for 2 rounds. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you have an A and B Russell or an A and B Belrain or whatever it is that you're facing on the other team, they're going to be getting hit by your -1s off of your Russell, and one way to punch through that is to reduce their armor and also give your own hero some attack. So that way you'll be able to punch through that -1 and do an actual damage and kill that hero, and not be able to just get completely negated by a splendid A and B. So in current endgame meta, Sphinx is most likely going to be the best pet. It also is really, really, really good for TOC, because in TOC, the name of the game is carries. The faster carry typically wins. So if you can hit other carries with this pet active, you'll make your carries faster on defense. So you have more of a chance to win. And also a massive benefit of holy damage for your attack on your Russells and your carries and stuff. Basically any hero that is going to do a bunch of damage, is going to massively benefit off of this holy damage, and then it's also going to get a slight damage increase from this precision here. So in current endgame meta, August 2020, Sphinx is pretty much the best pet in the game, and it's going to serve you very well. Probably was the best pet for a long time, and no one really realized it because we all thought Phoenix was boosting our damage. So Sphinx has probably been the best pet for a long time, and now I am at least just realizing it, and other people are just realizing it. And if you actually look in the top, probably like 20 people in TOC, about half of them are running Sphinx. Sphinx is a very solid hero or pet to run, and my server is starting to pick up on that, and most people are dropping their Phoenixes and Deers and starting to run Sphinx because they're starting to realize how beneficial that speed advantage can be. So there you go, Sphinx PvP pet, the one to go. The next PvP pet to go you can choose from, if you're running a bunch of crit based heroes, would be the dragon pet. Just because he provides the crit damage and the crit percent. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I've already talked about it in PvE. Basically, if the crit percentage or needs to be higher, run your dragon. You have a slight chance to stun them, and that will be pretty beneficial. Now on to the next PvP pets. You have the ice monster. This ice monster is the best mihm cheese pet. Now I don't really care for the active when you run this pet. You're basically running this pet because he actually gives one of the highest fixed attacks on his runes out of all the pets. And he also gives holy damage, and that right there is all mihm needs to be really good on killing heroes. And you don't really even, I mean, mine's level 120. As I said, you don't need the active. So yeah, just keep it at 120. You can increase the runes to 60 on HP and 60 on attack. You can even go less on the HP. You can even do like a 161. But I just went ahead and got the extra HP. Just means I don't have to run damage reduce on my Emily's. But yeah, so no need to max your speed on your mihm cheese pets because you don't need speed for mihm cheese. So just keep it at that and just increase the most important one is this rune attack right here. So on to the next pet. Wolf is the next best, probably the next best mihm cheese pet because it gives armor break and also has the highest fixed attack in the entire game with Ice Pet being second highest. The only reason why the Ice Monster is better is because holy damage is indeed better than armor break, but for your second mihm cheese, Wolf is a very good choice. Most of the time you're not going to be running. A lot of people used to run Sphinx for mihm cheese because this also gives holy damage, but now people probably won't. It also doesn't give as much fixed attack as this one has 95,000, while this one has 105,000 and Wolf has 108,000. So just keep that in mind. Sphinx technically isn't a super good mihm cheese pet, especially since you're probably going to be using Sphinx in one of your main heroes or main lineups in IDA or whatever you're going to be using it for. But yeah, so Wolf, solid mihm cheese pet. It isn't going to be good other than that for a full E5 team. It's pretty trash for any other situation other than mihm cheese. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. I'm going to talk a little bit about Phoenix. She's probably going to be in endgame PvP. She could be a solid mihm cheese pet if you're not using Phoenix on your other teams, just because she does give holy damage and she has 98,000 fixed attack. But once again, Ice is going to be better if you only have one mihm cheese. For the next best pet for PvP would probably be Fox. Fox is going to be very situational. Fox gives energy to your heroes. I believe it's 70 energy at max. I can't remember, but it gives skill damage and precision. So the stats aren't like super great on the aura. But yeah, so if you're running like say some sort of like Sherlock team, Olivia team, something that just like needs a bunch of energy to like be really good, Fox is going to be that nice situational pet for that team. Definitely not the best PvP pet, but definitely a solid choice. Definitely better than the wolf or the snake. And probably in Golem, obviously that one's the worst one, but I'll talk about that last. The next pet here is Snake. Snake is an all right hero or monster, nothing special at all. Kind of same situation as in Wolf, but it does give skill damage. So if you ever max it, you could use it for Mim Cheese. I don't remember what the attacks are, what the attack is for Snake, but unless you're going like 3 or 4 Mim Cheeses deep, you're not going to be running Snake for Mim Cheese. It's probably going to be like one of the last pets you max unless Athaqua gets fixed. And then moving on to the last pet, we got the Golem. It is basically the loser of all the pets. It's a terrible pet. It gives armor and precision. Not even sure like if you even want those. Armor is not that great. Doesn't really benefit you that much. I mean, it makes you a little bit tankier. And then precision is kind of like a bleh stat. And then it has its petrify and then increased damage to petrified targets. And the petrified's chance is just ultra low. It's not really gonna go off. So it's basically a useless monster. The only reason why you would ever use this monster is if you have like 60 E5 heroes and you need that 9th monster. So that's really the only reason why you would ever use the Golem. It is an absolutely trash monster. Do not build it. Please do not build this monster. It is not good. So yeah, I hope you guys found this this video helpful for you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.